Good evening. It's 8 o'clock in the East, and 18 states are closing polls, and one state is effectively closing, Virginia, which closed at 7, had so many people waiting in line, they've delayed results until this hour, so we may be waiting a while before we find out where those 13 electoral votes are headed and what exactly is happening in that hotly contested Senate race. This is the second of what will be many hourly updates live from the Washington Post newsroom. Cillizza, to my left, laughing at the enormity of it all and how little we still know. I'm Brook, Silva-Braga, host of the Washington Post's evening newscast, The Fold, and tonight we're going live throughout the evening, both from the newsroom here, where we have a cast of thousands, and from swing states around the country. We'll be joined by Ed O'Keefe in Columbus, Ohio, in just a minute. It's results time, almost. We'll see what we know. Live from the Washington Post newsroom, you are in The Fold. And I'm joined by the aforementioned Cillizza, and we're going to get right to a Twitter question.
Okay,
Ask
wow,
WAPO,
jump right
hashtag. Well, because it goes right to the issue
Sure.
of the moment. Eli Bonner asks, why are there long lines to vote? Don't we have enough polling places available?
Yeah, so it's a really good question. And I would say what every state tries to do when it comes to the election is try and game out roughly how many people are going to come and when they're going to come. But it's very difficult. I would say a good example of this phenomenon is here, Brooke. About 50 feet over here, you have the Washington Post food for the evening. Now there has been a line
Isn't there enough food?
There has been a line of roughly 2,000 people in line for the last hour and a half. Now, interestingly enough, only 500 reporters work here, but who knows where those people came. But the point is, it is hard to control crowds. If you have ever been to Disney World, they know lots of people are going to go ride on the rides, but there are still lines. So some of it's just that people tend to come at once. Somebody who is supposed to help winds up being sick, so now they have one less person. You know, I mean, this is not super unexpected. It happens every time. Hopefully, and the Virginia thing, I think, is actually really good news. Look, the goal on both sides, I think, is everyone who is eligible to vote should be able to cast a vote. That's what this is about. This is the great experiment we have in democracy in this country, what makes this country great. But sometimes that means waiting in a 2.5-hour line.
Yeah. We're getting more exit results, some specifically from the state of Ohio, which we're also interested in. What are we learning?
I love this, the 18 on Ohio, the electoral vote count. So here's what we know about Ohio. Polls have closed. Okay, so 7:30 poll close time. Polls are now closed in Ohio, which means we can dig a little bit more into the exit polling data and talk about some real numbers. The party ID, huge debate. What do you tell the exit pollster you are coming out? Yeah. 38D. Democrat, 31 Republican, 31 Independent. So that's a D+7.
Sounds pretty good
number.
for Obama.
Very similar to what it was in 2008 when President Obama won the state 51-47.
39-30 that year.
Right. So I always caution we did this in the 7 o'clock hour, but I'll do it in the 8 o'clock hour. I'll probably do it in the 9 o'clock and the 10 o'clock hour too, which is this remains relatively early exit polling. There's not a lot of actual vote mixed into the exit polling yet. So I think it's worth kind of caution. But if you're a Democrat and you see those party ID numbers, you would be happy at where you think Ohio will head.
Okay, so we should explain this map a little bit because the official Washington Post map is on the website. You can see that it's interactive. It's not made out of maps.
Very similar to this, I think, in many ways.
But the reason I wanted to have you with this is to kind of give some hypotheticals of what could happen. So you see these numbers down here are what we think, what the fix projects that either candidate would have. So let's start with Mitt Romney. He's got his 206. If he can hold on to all the other states, he needs to get to 270. So how with some of these swing states can he do it?
Sure. So basically what this 206 starts with is all the states that are solidly for Mitt Romney that no one would dispute in the states that are leaning toward him. I will note, this 206 does include North Carolina, okay? Right. Now, North Carolina's polls closed at 7:30. The data out of there suggests the race is very, very close. So we are including North Carolina here. Maybe by the end of the night we'll take it out, but for now we have North Carolina.
And that's 15 electoral votes, so that's no small thing.
Big price. A state that Barack Obama won in 2008 narrowly, 0.4%, and he was the first Democrat since Jimmy Carter, who of course was the governor of Georgia, to win it at the presidential level. So paths to 270 for Mitt Romney.
Yeah, let's get Romney to 270.
It's pretty simple, actually. So let's take this eastern half of the country. 29 in Florida.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, pop.
Well,
I knew.
Yes, we did it. It didn't even take that long.
I didn't break it. Everything's fine.
Okay. Well, okay.
So I'm
we
going to do
can
that
tell
just
we
for
didn't
the moment.
rehearse.
I'm going to do that just for the
I thought
moment.
we put him up here.
Oh, all right. Well, hey, you're the boss, all right? You're the boss. I'm not doing anything.
You really would have thought we'd rehearse how we were going to do this.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
At least I haven't misidentified any states yet. No,
Wait,
Connecticut.
wait,
no,
guys.
okay. So, so you have 29 here. So let's put those 29. Then let's take these 13, which is Virginia. Of course,
Right.
you know that from the outline of the state.
Yep.
Again, polling very, very close here. But let's put that here.
Yep.
Now, this is the critical one.
Ohio.
Let's put Ohio up here. 18. This is 60. I'm no math genius, but it is. You get to add these three. You have 266. Now, what does that mean for Mitt Romney? It means that all he would have to do at that point is win any one of New Hampshire, Wisconsin, Iowa, or Colorado. Any one of those, even tiny New Hampshire up here, gets him to 270 electoral votes or more. That's what he needs to win.
And the problem is, if you take any one of those three away, boy, now it gets
right.
harder.
So here's a. Let's take Ohio away. It's the state where he's out of all of these states that we have up here. These three. It's the state where he's trailed the most. So let's take that out. Okay. Now he's at 248. It's a heavier lift because now you're talking about 248. So another 16 only gets him to 264. Another 4 only gets him to 268. It's why Ohio is so important because without Ohio, you're looking at something close to, from sort of the Great Lakes westward, you're looking at something close to it, Mitt Romney needing to run the table. Polling in Wisconsin and Iowa suggests a slight edge. This is pre-election polling, not exit polling. Polls not closed there yet. Suggest a slight edge for Barack Obama, and that's when the math becomes hard. Now, let me just say one other thing. Take this away, okay? Take the 29 away, and even put these two up here. Still very hard. Without Florida, it's almost impossible for Mitt Romney to get there. I'm going to put these back in their assigned spots.
Okay.
Now. I don't want to get. You won't ask me back for the 9 o'clock hour.
In the next break, maybe we'll rehearse. You mentioned how
we did rehearse. I screwed it up.
No, we did it. Anyway, if not surprising, Ohio is very important, so we send one of our superstars, Ed O'Keefe, out to Columbus, and I believe we have him on the line. Ed O'Keefe, you with us?
I am.
Oh, you are. Good to have you.
Here.
Oh, live in video. Good to see you, man.
Wow.
You're in Columbus, not just because it's an important place for votes to be cast, but it's where the lawyers may be hanging out, the capital of the state, and possibly ground zero of a legal challenge. What have you been seeing today, and are there voting issues? What should we be worried about at this hour?
I have seen those lawyers in my hotel, in fact, both campaigns stalking them over in the beautiful DoubleTree down the street. As far as we know, state officials saying here that everything went relatively smoothly. There were some reports of perhaps not enough ballots in certain neighborhoods. Some people complaining that they had to fill out provisional ballots, but otherwise, for the most part, the state officials said that things so far have gone pretty smoothly, and with a fraction of the votes in, the president has taken an early lead, suggesting that those early ballots that were cast across the state are skewing in his favor. About 1.8 million early ballots either mailed in or cast in person over 35 days. And so far it looks as if they're leaning towards the president.
Yeah, we were talking maybe 40% of voters casting their ballot before today. Ohio is notoriously slow in giving us results. Will all those early ballots make it sooner, make it easier, make it quicker? Will we know where those 18 votes are going before 2 this morning?
Sure. Well, the indications from both campaigns are that you would see an early Obama lead as expected because he won the early vote 4 years ago. He was expected to do well again this year. So it was expected that the president will take an early lead, and then it will depend primarily on whatever happens up in Cleveland and the Cuyahoga County area, which is, again, a heavy Democratic area. Republicans confident that they can win again in Hamilton County, which is a suburb of Cincinnati. That they will run up margins in in counties where John McCain underperformed 4 years ago. And throughout the day, Republicans have been saying, look, if you look at Republican counties, we're doing better than John McCain did, and Barack Obama is coming in below his 2008 numbers. So, if anything, it suggests a closer race. Whether we'll know it by 2 a.m. just remains to be seen.
There was talk about a potentially massive number of provisional ballots, maybe as many as 350,000 that hadn't been returned. Do we have any sense of whether that's going to be the snafu that it could be?
Well, that'll depend primarily on how close the margins are between Romney and Obama tonight. You know, like hypothetically, only 100,000 votes and there are 200,000 provisional ballots, then yes, we're going to be sitting here for 10 days waiting to see what happened. But if either them can get beyond the number of provisional ballots cast, since provisional ballots historically favored the Democrat, then it's likely that we won't necessarily have to wait for those to be counted.
Okay, Ed, thanks a lot. Ed, who I know has already booked his room for like a week, so he's ready if we do stay there.
Look at him, he look thrilled.
And if you follow Ed's Twitter feed, he's been giving a great playlist of country music from Middle America.
Ed
I've been playing it all
Post.
week.
Ed
Yes.
at Post on Twitter. He's good people. You know, I just one quick thing with Ed saying 1.8 million people voted early. Keep this in mind. Roughly 5.6 million votes cast in Ohio in 2008. Barack Obama won. His margin over John McCain was 262,000. So this is a state where Barack Obama does not have, in Nevada, he won by 12 points in 2008. In Wisconsin, he won by 14 points in 2008. Yeah. He does not have that kind of cushion from 08 that he has in some of these other states. Just worth noting. It's almost certainly going to be very close either way.
Yeah, that party ID number, though, has to be good news if you're an Obama supporter.
I would agree. Let's see if it changes. But yes, right now, absolutely.
What are you looking for in the next hour?
Next hour, Florida, Virginia, and Ohio the actual balloting will come in. And I think that, again, we're focused on Ohio, and I think rightly so. But Ohio for Mitt Romney without Virginia, and especially without Florida, it doesn't necessarily get him there. Remember the math. Yep. If he gets these three, he's at 266. Yeah. He's basically there. If he does not have one of those three, it just becomes a real run-the-table situation. So I think we'll have a much more robust sense of where we are in those three big ones, or at least where we're headed in the next hour. I'm excited. I can't wait. I'm getting hungry. I need to eat something.
We're going to have to get in that line and see if we can't get some food.
It's dissipated, which makes me concerned that the food is all gone.
Do you think live streaming on the Post allows us to cut the line?
Well, I think we can definitely cut the line now because there is no line. That's where membership has its privileges.
Well, then let's wrap up. We'll be joining Chris and actually a much expanded cast of characters at the top of the next hour, 9 o'clock Eastern, where we'll have expanded coverage with Emmy Calloway joining me as co-host. So we hope to see you then. A live shot of the Fix Cam, which you can also check out all night at Ustream. I think it's ustream.tv/Washington Post.
That's
is that
it.
correct?
That is right. You just watch me. It's like animals in a zoo situation. Just watch me at my desk. It's incredibly arresting television.
Okay, there it is, the Fix Cam.
I'm not there.
Well, Chris will be there any minute. So stick around to watch and listen, and we'll see you at the top of the hour.